Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on Health and Wellness with Dr. Toby. Thank you for joining us. Don't touch that dial. We have a great show today. Our guest is Dr. Christian Vale. Yes, his name is Christian, and he's a Christian, and he's here to open up a new branch of the Foot and Ankle Clinic in Monroe, Louisiana. The address is 3601 Desert Street, and it's a brand new practice. He's going to be sharing everything and anything about podiatry. He's a surgical residency trained podiatry specialist. He's going to be sharing his history of how his parents were born in El Salvador and they moved to America and he pursued the American dream. He went to Penn State, got his degree in exercise science, then went on to the university in Cleveland to get his diploma, his degree in podiatry medicine, and afterwards he went to Long Island Jewish to do his surgical training. He's extremely well trained. He's going to be a blessing to you. Don't miss this program. It's a blessing. Look forward to seeing you. Jesus is Lord. Hi, this is Dr. Toby Moma, your host on Health and Wellness. We love having you on the show. Don't touch that dial. We have a special guest on the show, Dr. Christian Vale. He's a podiatrist. He's a surgically trained podiatrist. He moved from New York City after he did his 3-year surgical training at the Long Island Jewish Northwell Hospital, LIJ system. Before that, he had gone to Kent State for his podiatry training, and before that, he had been to Penn State for his exercise physiology and neuroscience. So we have a special guest today on the foot. I believe the foot is a signpost of your health. As a family physician, I see so many patients who come in and it's a foot ulcer today, but tomorrow it's an amputation. You know, today it's a ingrown toenail, tomorrow it's a, ulcer that progresses and then becomes necrotic and then they have to have an amputation, or it's just a callus and before we know it, it's become infected and they need IV antibiotics for osteomyelitis. So I'm dedicating today to the foot, okay? And Dr. Christian Vale is my special guest, and I'm sure every one of you that has a foot, please pay attention. You're young, you're old, you're male, you're female, you have a foot, pay attention because this affects you. So I want to talk a bit about Christian and what brought him to Louisiana. He told me he's from partly from Ecuador. Is that what?
So no, El Salvador.
El Salvador.
Yes.
El Salvador slash
Italian.
Italian
Yes.
heritage. So give us a bit of your background. I mean, you moved here to the South from originally born in Maryland,
Correct.
trained in Ohio and New York.
Yeah.
Now, tell us what brought you to Louisiana.
The opportunity. I had found a really good opportunity with Dr. Hunter, and I came down here from New York City for a couple of days, and he showed me the town and showed me the practice, and it seemed like a phenomenal opportunity. Called my wife, told her, hey, how do you feel about Louisiana? Because at that point in time, she was only we just had our baby, so it was only 2 weeks afterwards. So she couldn't come down with obviously with the baby as well. But called her and said, hey, how do we feel about Louisiana?
Is she a medical person too?
No, she was a paralegal.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
but I mean, Dr. Hunter, he took me under his wing and he's showing me the ropes of private practice, and it's a phenomenal experience to learn from him.
What did your parents think? I mean, you're going down south.
Yeah.
I mean, what were their thoughts about that?
So
That's a long way from Maryland.
Yeah. So my parents are both still in Maryland, right outside of Washington D.C. That's where I grew up. But I've always been that kind of person that just whenever an opportunity arose, I kind of went for it. Just like I left the nest and went to Penn State,
Right.
and then afterwards went to Ohio, and then afterwards went to New York. It was just kind of, it's in my genes and my blood just to kind of find an opportunity and kind of go with it.
And tell me a little bit about the relocation so far. You found a place. Your wife, I don't think she's working right now, but how's the settling going for you guys?
It's a process. It's been a process, but it's just because you know, it was moving everything down, and
Everything,
it was a
yeah. I
28
did the
hour.
same thing. I moved from New York,
Yeah. Oh,
so
that's
I
right.
know exactly what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I took everything in a 16-foot U-Haul, hopped on the road. It was 28 hours, a 28-hour drive from New York City.
You drove?
I drove.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, I put my car on the train, and I got on the train.
Yeah.
Then but the car took off from Maryland, from D.C.,
Hmm.
and the train took us to Florida.
Uh-huh.
So I now drove from Florida. Somebody's like, well, you should have just driven from New York, but the relocation costs were paid by the
Yeah.
company. So I said, let me take advantage of that.
Yeah. But no,
Yeah.
it's been a phenomenal coming down here. Everybody's extremely friendly. I mean, Southern hospitality.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
in its true form, and very welcoming. You know,
Do you know the demographics of podiatrists around Louisiana? Because obviously, I think there's places that there are hot spots. A lot of podiatrists concentrate. Do you know what the numbers and look like in this
Yeah,
part of the
so
country?
podiatry in general is actually a pretty small profession. So there's actually only about 18,000 licensed podiatrists in the entire country.
So
18,000.
300 million.
Yeah,
plus people.
18,000. And of that 18,000, only roughly about 30% of that is actually a female gender. So that's actually a big booming thing in podiatry right now is increasing diversity in podiatry. But you know, we were talking about location-wise. Here in Louisiana, there's about 163 podiatrists for the entire state,
Oh,
compared to Texas, which has about 1,800. And breaking down Louisiana a little bit more, just in Monroe, in West Monroe area, I think since now I'm here, I think there's only about four,
okay.
4 or 5.
Are you all male?
No.
There's one
Actually,
female.
in our practice, we do have one female. Correct.
Dr. Hunter has another partner?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes.
that. Okay.
Yes. But other than that, there are more concentrations down in New Orleans and Baton Rouge,
Okay.
as well as Shreveport.
Okay.
So that's why this location offers a great opportunity to kind of infiltrate the northern Louisiana
Right.
area to really provide to all these
And not
different
just
areas.
Monroe. You're talking of Arcadia,
Absolutely.
Ruston. You're talking of down Vicksburg. Well, not Vicksburg, but at least Tallulah.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of towns that I can
Absolutely.
almost assure you there's no podiatrists
Absolutely.
in those smaller
Yeah.
towns.
And we have people that come from hours away to come see to
Wow.
Monroe, to our office. And that's why every patient that comes in there, we give our dedicated time to them, because we don't know where
They're coming
they're coming from, or that drive, how long it took them to come out here.
Wow. So just a side question. You know, the people without insurance make up about 20% in America. So I'm sure in Louisiana it's more because there's so much indigent population. What are your opportunities for those people who lack insurance? How can you give a break to them? What are your fees like if somebody doesn't have any insurance?
So every procedure, every visit, whether it's an x-ray or whether it's a callus debridement or a wart treatment or an injection, all of them have certain fees. And based on insurance, you know, those fees obviously get adjusted. But if a patient comes in, say, without insurance, you know, we're very upfront and honest. We do have patients that come in that are self-pay.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And, you know, we tell them right off the bat, the visit is this amount. You know, x-rays, if we need them, are going to be this X amount as well. But, you know, we try our best to be accommodated.
Right.
You know, especially in the circumstance where we're talking about people are coming from all over. You know, we don't want them to have to just turn around and, you know, pay for gas to go drive an hour and a half again.
Right.
You know, when they just drove all the way out here for that
That's
situation.
true. Yeah. Tell me a bit about your parents. I mean, you were born into a El Salvadorian and Italian heritage. I don't know who was El Salvadorian but were they medically inclined? Did they imply, or did they initiate, or did they put an impression on you to go into podiatry or medical field, or what was their background? Tell me a bit about their story. I mean, it sounds,
Yeah.
I mean, to me, incredible for an Ecuadorian to meet an Italian and marry and get a child in America.
Yeah.
So that must be a credible story.
So basically, my parents, they met in El Salvador.
Okay.
They were high school sweethearts, actually, in El
Oh.
Salvador. And during the early, if I can remember the years exactly, but during the late 70s, early 80s, a civil war erupted in El Salvador.
Right.
And so my parents wanted that American dream.
So
And
they were both El Salvadorians.
they were both in El Salvador, correct.
Okay.
And so they fled the Civil War, came to the United States, settled down in Washington, D.C., where they had my older brother. I have 2 sisters, and then there's me. But, kind of talking about what you were saying, was there any kind of medicine, going to medicine or anything like that? There wasn't. I mean, my parents said just do whatever makes you happy and just do it very well and be a contributing member to society. And all 4 kids, my older brother, he has an excellent job. He's an engineer. My older sister, she owns a business in New York City. And my other sister, she's another engineer. And then there's me, the doctor.
Do you speak?
I do speak Spanish as well.
Okay.
That's another thing
awesome.
that in this area, I know there is a population.
Huge Hispanic
exactly.
population, right.
And I'm the only
Espanol.
Exactly. I'm the only Spanish-speaking doctor for the podiatry world, in essence, in this area. So that's an also benefit as well.
Right.
But no, growing up, it was just try your best, try your hardest, whatever it is.
Did you play sports?
I did.
Oh, okay.
So I played football for about 12 years.
Wow.
But I also ran track. I was a hurdler, if you can believe that.
Wow.
At one point in time, I was
like
a hurdler.
110.
Oh, yeah, I did 110 and 300 meter hurdle.
Wow.
And then I also wrestled.
Wow.
So I was a wrestler
That's
as well.
Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Penn State or just high school?
That was just high school and under.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I was thinking about trying to do college football, but I wanted to focus on school. And
Interesting. So what were their professions, your parents?
My parents. So in El Salvador, they were both bankers.
Okay.
That was their training. But when they came here to the States, for a period of time, my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And then once all of us started school, my mom became a paraeducator teacher.
Okay.
So she works with special education. And my dad, he's a general contractor.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Pretty awesome. Have you been to El Salvador?
I have.
Oh.
It's been a while since I've gone down there. I'm trying to get the family and the baby to be able to go down there and see, because here in the United States, it's pretty much just us. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we don't have a lot of other family. I do have family in Mississippi. I haven't gotten a chance to go out there and meet him or to see him. I don't remember. I just know it's in Mississippi.
Oh, what city? I should say what city. Yeah. It's not Jackson. Okay, look them up because I'm in Jackson. Yeah. So anytime. Yeah. And then you now married an American Polish. So how did you and your wife meet?
So we met out in Ohio. While I was in school, I was doing a rotation down in Columbus, Ohio. So talking about school, you do rotations at different hospitals when you're applying for residency. And I went to a residency or a hospital for the month down in Columbus, and a family friend introduced us to each other. Oh, wow. And then after that, we kind of hit it off, and and then it was a weird time because I was traveling all over the country, to different hospitals, but we kept in contact, and when I finally finished doing all those rotations, I came back to Ohio and, really started a relationship then. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And then I dragged her out to New York City. And
were you there when the Cleveland Cavaliers won the
That was my senior
NBA?
year. Correct. That was my senior year.
At Kent State.
At Kent State.
So it was a big deal?
Oh, I was working in the ER that day when they had the parade coming through Cleveland.
Oh, really?
It was crazy.
Because Cleveland is not it's like 500,000 people.
It's not a big city.
It's not as big as Cincinnati or Columbus.
No.
So for that, for you to have an NBA winning championship, that was a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely, okay. Absolutely.
They put a statue of LeBron somewhere, I'm sure. So let's talk about the cities you've been to, and let's compare. And I'm not trying to put you on the spot, but you've been to West Monroe, you've been to Cleveland, Ohio, you've been to Long Island, New York, and probably Manhattan and Brooklyn and Bronx and Queens. You've seen major cities. You've been to, Washington, D.C., maybe Baltimore.
Yeah, absolutely.
So tell us what you compare West Monroe to that. We're maybe about 150,000 max compared to, D.C. and New York and
Long Island.
So
absolutely.
just I'm sure you're happy to get to work without having to stay in the traffic
Correct.
for 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, 20, 30 minutes, in New York, if that took 20, 30 minutes, it was a very good day, and I must have been flying. But no, usually about an hour drive one way in New York. But no, I've always wanted to be in a close-knit community.
Okay.
That was always the end goal that I wanted. I like the homey environment, and you know, everybody kind of knows each other, and everybody
right.
can talk to you, and oh, I know that person, I know somebody that can help you out with that situation, or you know, with that you have going on.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the close-knit community that West Monroe and Monroe is.
When I came here, I came from Brooklyn to
Mm-hmm.
to Monroe, so I had never tasted crawfish in my life. I had
Yes.
never tasted. I don't think I had taken a shrimp, but maybe I had. My
Uh-huh.
wife said we probably ate one at, you know, one of those lobster, red
Yeah.
lobster or something in New
Yeah.
York, you know. So, but you know, I didn't even have money. I was a resident. I didn't have money to go to restaurants. So I was like, "Are you sure?" So, I mean, have you tasted any of the Louisiana food?
When I came down here at the end of February, I was introduced to crawfish,
Okay.
and Dr. Hunter and we had it for 3 days straight.
Really?
I was pretty sure, I'm shocked I didn't leave with gout. Like, I ate that much crawfish. It was just pounds of crawfish.
Oh,
I
my
love the
goodness.
crawfish, yes. And then another thing, boudin.
Boudin, okay.
Yes, that's another.
You see, I haven't had boudin, and I've been here for quite
Really?
some time. So
Oh,
you're really adventurous. you
Yes,
know.
absolutely. Oh, I love trying new things. So that's why I love being in an area where I've never been before that have different
And then the
diversity in it.
crabs. I'm like,
Yes.
how do you eat something this big? I mean, where do you start? You know, you can't cut it with a knife.
Yeah.
So it's a culture thing, and I think it's important that we know that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the food is awesome.
Oh, it's amazing.
I mean, if you go to New Orleans, I mean, the food is awesome. I went to
Yeah.
Mr. B's and it was unbelievable. But yeah, so the culture is a big difference. You know, the culture is a big difference. So you said you've been to El Salvador. Anywhere else outside the United States?
Oh, absolutely. So me and my wife, our goal during residency was actually to see the world, to travel the
Really?
world as much as possible, because we knew we were going to have kids soon. So we were like, you know what?
Wow.
Let's try to travel as much as we can.
In the busy residency?
Correct.
You have 2 weeks or 4 weeks.
4 weeks. 4 weeks a
They've
year.
now extended it to 6 weeks. Do you know
Really?
that?
Oh, I'm
it's,
upset
it's
about
now a
that.
rule. ACGME said every resident should have 6 to 8 weeks off. I'm like, seriously?
Wow.
That's impressive.
I'm jealous. But no, but being in New York City, we had the availability of JFK and LaGuardia
Of course.
that fly everywhere,
Everywhere,
and the
right.
tickets were so cheap. So my wife and we've been to Paris.
Oh,
We've
wow.
gone to Ireland. We've gone to Amsterdam. We've gone to Puerto Rico.
Wow.
We were at one point in time we were going to go to Spain. So we try to travel as much as possible. We went to
Pretty
St.
incredible.
John, St. Thomas,
On the island.
on the islands. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
wow.
But we try our best to.
She must be a good shopper.
She is a very good shopper.
I mean, you got to know where to look for those travel deals.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Incredible. Wow. So you were telling me a bit before the show about your religious history, and
Yes.
you went through a little bit of navigating. So tell
Correct.
my audience, a lot of them are Christians, but they understand. So you can share your story from your heart.
Yeah.
With a name
absolutely.
like Christian, you're going to get this question all over the
Oh,
time.
absolutely.
So-
Ever since I was a kid, I always got, "Oh, your name's Christian. Are you Christian?" Absolutely. So it's a very interesting journey, religious journey. You know, when my parents first came to the country, they were actually Jehovah's Witness, because that's a very prevalent religion in El Salvador, Jehovah's
Really?
Witness. So you know, I was raised Jehovah's Witness for a period of time, and my brother, while he was in high school, started going to a Mormon church.
Oh, wow.
And I was very close to my brother, so I was like, oh, I'll tag along to the Mormon church also. So then I started going to the Mormon church for about 3 years. And so that was, you know, I experienced Mormonism for that period of time. And then in college, I wanted to try Christianity, Catholicism. And then that's where I found my niche.
Okay.
And so then I was baptized non-denominational Christian.
Oh,
And ever since then, that's
Praise
been
God.
practicing, and
Interesting.
it's been a journey, but
Did your
it's
parents object, or did they?
no, not at all.
Okay.
You know, they were always very big into it's your relationship.
Right.
You know, it's your relationship to whatever.
How
You know,
did your brother do with the Mormon church?
well,
He's still
he
part?
is.
Okay.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your sister in New York?
And my sister in New York, she is Catholic.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Her and her fiance are both Catholic.
Ah.
So in our family, there's
A lot
a
of
lot
diversity.
of exactly.
And I know there's a lot of, I hear there's a lot of Catholicism in the Latin America,
There is.
Central America
Correct.
area. So,
Yes. Absolutely.
how about your wife? Was she on either side or just?
She is not.
Okay.
So
okay.
she respects my beliefs,
Okay,
and
okay.
she obviously she knows that I want to introduce our daughter to Christianity or
Right.
religion in general, just so she has the option of whether she wants to go with daddy to church or not. But
Right.
but no, the wife's going to come to church with me as well. And
So growing up, how were you in? Tell me a bit about your growing up in El Salvador. I don't know if you were old enough to remember the details.
so I grew up in D.C.
So you were born in El Salvador.
No, I was born in D.C.
Oh, so
in
you
Washington.
were born here.
I was born here.
Oh,
Yes, correct.
okay.
Yeah.
So DC is an interesting part of the country. It's actually a melting pot.
Correct.
There's almost every country of the world in DC. I heard you can get an Ethiopian restaurant,
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
Mexican restaurant, a
Yeah.
African restaurant, anything you want,
Correct.
you know. So tell us a bit about growing up in DC. I mean, like your high school, did you have friends from multiple nationalities?
Yeah.
Was it I mean, we hear stories in the medical community about the drug abuse in DC and the high STD rate. It's the number one in the country for sexually transmitted illnesses, HIV especially. So I don't know if you ever, what was your experience? Obviously, DC is made up of different parts. So it
Absolutely.
depends on what part of the country,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
city you were in.
So I was in northern DC, closer or in Maryland, but we still had a lot of interaction with the DC community as well. In the area that I lived in, it was exactly the same. It was a melting pot. People from all over the country. I went to high school. My graduating class was 500. The school
Wow.
itself was about 2,000 students, and from all different diversities, all different socioeconomic statures, from all over. And that actually, I think, was very beneficial in growing up as a kid. Being able to interact with people from different diversities and socioeconomic classes, and it makes you take what you can do and where you came from. You're proud of it. And it also builds your character and your communication skills as well.
Right.
Being able to interact with anybody. I kind of contribute my patient care to my upbringing, but also the fact that I served tables for 10 years.
Wow.
And
in
just
high school.
in high school and then in undergrad as well.
Wow.
So
What restaurant? What?
Red Robin.
Oh,
I worked at Red Robin
I've
for
heard of Red Robin.
yeah.
It's like fried chicken.
Oh, it's burgers.
Burgers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I was at Red Robin for about 10 years, in which time I was at local bars when I was at Penn State also.
Okay.
But just that patient interaction.
Interaction,
Exactly,
right.
and it's the same kind of idea when you go up to a table and say, "Hi, how you doing today?
How
What
can I say?"
what can I get for you today?"
There's been a lot of talk in the medical world about, I use the word competition, but I'm sure that's not a good word, between podiatrists and orthopedic surgeons. So obviously talking about relationships, you are a bridge builder. You're here to serve the community. How would you like my orthopedic colleagues listening, what would you want to tell them about what you're coming to Monroe, West Monroe to contribute in terms of like vascular surgery, in terms of orthopedics? How can you make their life and their practice better? What are your
Absolutely.
you know?
Absolutely. So I think every patient benefits from having multi-specialties. Being able to have the availability to have, in essence, a second opinion if that's what they want, but also a different specialist. So we work very closely with, obviously, rheumatologists, vascular surgeons, family physicians, because as a patient with all your comorbidities, you need a multi-specialty approach. To your body. So I think it's me coming to an area and with orthopedics in general, I think that it needs to be, or it's a symbiosis. I know that I could call an orthopedic and kind of bounce the ideas off of them, because obviously our trainings could be different,
Right.
and that's obviously very beneficial. Or it says, you know, I can call an orthopedic that's a nail, or that focuses on the knee. Said, hey, our patient here has an issue with the ankle. You know, if I'm doing a surgery on the ankle, how do you think we should approach that in relation to the knee?
Right.
You know, or with the hip. You know, and there's been times where with orthopedics we just say the hips being thrown out because of pedal issues, from foot issues. How can we change the gait in order to assist their surgery in regards to a hip replacement? But in regards to other specialties, vascular surgery,
Right.
especially with our huge population of diabetics and smokers and just very sick patients.
And we don't have that many vascular surgeons, by the way.
I know.
I think we have like 3.
Yeah.
I think, but there could be more, but I think it's like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Have you found out? It's not that many.
There's not that many.
Yeah.
So I know
you'll
there's a
find
couple that, but I'm going to try to keep them busy. But so, you know, when a patient comes in to our office, and if we're concerned about a vascular issue, we actually have the availability to do an ABI in our office,
Okay.
which is an ankle brachial index test, where we put a blood pressure cuff on your arm and on the ankle in order to determine the blood flow from the upper extremity down to the lower extremity. And if something comes back off, we can do a multi-segment where we put more cuffs up on the legs. And I always tell patients, I want to be the beginning of what potentially needs to occur. So if we can find something, at least I can refer you to somebody and say, we already did the leg work, let's take it home. So here are all the tests that we performed here in the office. This is what we are finding. Now you can go to a vascular surgeon, and they don't need to redo all the tests or anything like that. They can see our concern. You know, they see our notes where we talked about the fact that the pedal pulses were absent. We did the blood pressure, or the ABI, that determined that there was some stenosis, some issues with the circulation.
Right.
So, you know, we work very closely with all of these specialties.
And just for the sake of some of my patients, the podiatrist has the ability to write antibiotics, pain
Correct.
medicine, any medication.
Correct.
I mean, you have a DEA too.
Correct.
They have every license a family physician or orthopedic has.
Correct.
There's basically no difference between an MD and a DPM.
Correct.
The only difference is that one operates on strictly
The foot
below
and
the
ankle.
knee,
Correct.
below the ankle,
Yep.
and the other one operates elsewhere.
Exactly.
So it's a physician who specializes on the foot, really.
Absolutely. And in our office, we want the patient to feel like they're not just coming for a foot and ankle issue, that we can talk to them about everything else that's going on. So if we're concerned about edema, you know, we make an order in for you to get labs that check your vitamins and enzymes to determine if anything else is altered.
Wow.
And if it's a vitamin issue, we'll prescription for a vitamin, refer you to your primary care doctor.
So Dr. Vail is going to be back. We're going to continue this topic, talking about the procedures he does in the hospital. You don't want to miss it. He's here. He's real. 3601 Desert Street, Monroe, Louisiana. Check him out. Thank you. See you next time. God bless you. Jesus is Lord.